Still remember that first run around the block. My lungs were on fire, maybe 3Ks, legs were burning, and I was thinking to myself, how do people run marathons? But here I am, just over 18 months later, training for my first marathon. So let's rewind all the way back to the beginning, literally week 1 of training. After watching a whole bunch of Instagram videos and YouTube videos of people running, it sort of pulled me in. People were pushing themselves, chasing something bigger, and I knew that I wanted something more than just going to the gym like I had been for the last couple of years. So I thought, why not? So I grabbed a pair of old running shoes I had got maybe 3 or 4 years earlier, and I chucked them on and went for a run around the block, and it was not pretty, rightly so, because most of the fitness that I had been doing for the last year or two was in the gym. So I had no aerobic fitness, I had done no cardio at all. I had no warm-up, no plan, no idea really what I was doing. Old shoes, and after that I tried to run again the next day and every day, but that was the start. What I would do differently is I would make sure that I had some sort of structure to my training. So maybe limiting myself 3 days a week, maybe not even a speed run or a long run, just getting myself used to running. And those runs would probably look like run walks. So I would run for 1 minute and then walk for 1 minute, and just build that up over time, some sort of plan from someone who knows a lot more about running than I do. I would make sure that I'm listening to my body. If I felt any sort of niggles or anything come up there, here and there, I would maybe skip that run or push that run out a little bit to make sure that my body's recovering from the training that I'm doing. One of the first earlier things that I did was sign up for a half marathon, and I definitely pushed the limit too hard too early, and I didn't even end up doing that half marathon because I got injured. A big injury prevention method would be strength training, and obviously I was already doing strength training, but pretty much hypertrophy, so bodybuilding base. So I would switch that over earlier, or if you're not doing any training at all, I would get into the gym and do running specific strength exercises. And lastly, I'd make sure that I'd get myself a proper pair of running shoes. Go into a shoe clinic pretty much straight away early on and get yourself a pair of running shoes. They can be expensive, but I think it's also a bit of incentive. If you've spent all this money on running shoes, then it's going to force you out the door as well. I learned that I've got to put my ego away, especially when you're starting, because you're going to want to run fast, and you're going to see everyone's times online, everyone's Strava posts, and want to run your run faster, but it takes a lot of time to build speed and endurance. So take your time, leave your ego at home, and just run whatever you're meant to run that day. So if it's an easy run, make sure it is an easy run for you, whatever pace that is, not anyone else's easy run pace. And then same thing for the speed run and the long run as well. Obviously by this point you'll hopefully be following a structured training plan. Being able to run a year later and being better and not injured, so take your time, because most injuries come from doing too much. So now we skip to 1 year in. At this point I was all in. I'd signed up for what was my second half marathon, but the first one that I would actually do. I become obsessed with my pace, trying to run every run as fast as I could. Whether it was worrying about what other people thought about my times and trying to obviously do the best I can in the upcoming half marathon, I was definitely not training smart. And along with that, I was still lifting like a bodybuilder at the gym. I was under fueling because I was worried about body composition, and I didn't want to put on too much weight. I wanted to be as light and as slim as possible, so I wasn't allowing my body to recover from the lows that I was putting it under. I probably wasn't getting enough sleep, or at least I wasn't prioritizing it like I do now. And throughout that whole prep for that half marathon, I was dealing with shin splints and a slight hip injury and just little overuse injuries that I wasn't tending to because I wasn't quite training properly. So what I would do differently 1 year in is I would stop associating my self-worth to my pace. And because that sort of constant pressure of trying to run faster obviously was causing little niggles and overuse injuries, but also it was taking a little bit of the joy out of running. And the reason why I started was because I wanted to try something else other than the gym, and then I was getting so annoyed at the paces and splits that I was running. I'd also obviously shift my mindset around the gym, and this means not caring so much about what I look like or how big I was or how shredded I was, but more making sure that I was doing exercises that would help me perform better and help me avoid any potential overuse injuries that I would get from running. So researching online what running specific exercises at the gym I could be doing, and then implementing those into my training. And that also leads me to food. Obviously, along the same lines with the gym, making sure that I'm fueling for performance and recovery and not aesthetics, and not worrying so much about my body composition. You know, if you're running a lot, training a lot at the gym, then you know you're not going to get overweight. You might not be as lean, as shredded as a bodybuilder, but that's not why we're doing this. So fuel for performance, and I would make sure that I'd also fuel for recovery and set myself up better to be able to handle the Ks that I was doing at that time. Not every run or the next run you're going to be better than the last, but over time you will get better, and you just have to be patient with it. Discipline isn't always about grinding out every day, but it's about being smart with your training, moving days around if you need to be, not being lazy but being smart. So now we're here, 1.5 years in, or just over 18 months. We're following structured training plan from an online coach, long runs, speed runs, heaps of easy runs. We're doing zone 2 low impact circuits at the gym. We're doing zone 2 riding on the bike just recently. My strength training is pretty much all running focused. I still do a bit of upper body maybe once or twice a week, but most of it is running specific leg exercises, making sure that one, building strength to be able to handle the running that I'm doing, and then also trying to do exercises that are going to help with my speed and my explosive speed, so I can run faster and get those times that I want to get in my half marathons and in my marathons and whatever running event I decide to do later on. Quite a big contrast to how I started. It's all a learning curve, and this is what it's like when you start something new that you haven't done before. But hopefully watching this video you're able to learn these things a little bit faster than I did, and your learning curve might be a bit steeper and you'll get better quicker. And there's things that I'm working on all the time, and it is easy to overdo it, especially when you have that mentality that you just want to do better every time, which is a good mentality to have. But like I said earlier, you have to be smart with your trainings. Over the last year and a half or more, I've really worked on not trying to compare myself to others, but it is easy to do. And even now that I'm 1.5 years in, I feel like, I've been running for quite a while now, I should be faster than that person, or how come he's been running for a shorter amount of time than me, but he is faster. And yeah, it's just trying not to do that, trying to avoid comparison, but it is easy to do. And like I said, right from the start I've been doing it, and I still catch myself doing it now. So it's just trying to avoid that, block out all the noise, try not to get too caught up in your paces. Everyone's different and you're on your own sort of running journey. So from here on out, I'm going to stick to the plan, make sure that I'm consistent with my running, which I like to pride myself on. I feel like I'm quite a consistent person. I like a routine, so that one's not too hard for me. Make sure that I'm patient with that consistency, and if I need to move or run around because I feel like maybe a niggle's coming up, then I will. It's really one of those sports that I have to become addicted to delayed gratification. I've really started to see a lot of results come in over the last 3 months of running. My easy pace has gotten a lot faster. I feel like I'm able to handle my marathon paces throughout my long runs better, and and it has taken a while. It has taken a long time. I just have to keep showing up each week, even if it doesn't feel like I'm getting better at certain times, because I definitely am.